right, guys, welcome back to another episode of the Blitz the Bookie podcast. I'm Charlie Winkle, joined as always by Anthony Roberts. It is Wednesday, January the 15th, and the national championship game is set. We will have two college football powers. Notre Dame, 11 titles. Ohio State, 8 titles. Will match up in Atlanta to settle it all.
Two of the best coaching staffs in the country, two of the biggest spenders in the NIL world. If you want to win in today's college football, you got to spend the money.
I give you credit, Anthony. You did call Ohio State at the beginning of the year. They're right there.
Yeah. I got on Texas, too. I really think the national championship game just happened. I really do. We'll get into that, though.
We are also on to the divisional round in the NFL. The wild card round last week was, it was all right. 5 of the 6 games kind of got out of hand. But I think we got some really good matchups, some awesome matchups in this divisional round. Before we get started, thank you guys for listening. We appreciate you taking the time out of your day to check us out. Don't forget to like and subscribe on your favorite streaming platforms and continue to check out the social media pages, Blitz the Bookie Facebook, TikTok, which might be gone here in a few days. They say they're banning it. Either way, we're working on an Instagram page. It'll be up soon, so continue to check us out, and the YouTube page as well. Anthony, I went on YouTube and downloaded all of our episodes all at one time, so I hit them with 20 episodes at once. So they're all on YouTube as well. If that's where you prefer to listen to your podcast, check us out on there too.
Just a quick note, I did read a little bit on the TikTok thing. So on a personal note, I like the idea of them banning TikTok if an American company don't buy it. You know, I don't like the Chinese, but that's my opinion, and I won't get into that. But I did read some countries have already done it, and it's kind of hard to enforce. So the way they would enforce it would be that essentially they're not going to be able to stop somebody from having an app that's already on their phone.
Yeah, it'll still be there.
But they won't be able to update it. So it'd be within 6 months, a year, it'd be really hard to use with a lot of the bugs in it and stuff. And they say there's ways people get around it in other countries with VPNs and stuff like that.
They're just going to, at first, they're going to take it off of the Apple Store and the Samsung store where you can't buy them or update them, like you said. So
sure.
Those bugs will stack up, and eventually the app will be unusable.
Yeah. Hopefully they unpartner with the Chinese government or whoever they're in with that the U.S. government is accusing them with. I haven't kept up with it, but the little things I've heard, I kind of agree with it, but I'm not that educated on it either, Charlie, so I don't know.
Yeah, they're worried about Chinese government getting all the information.
I get it.
That's all it is to it. That's the bottom line. They don't want that happening, which might already be happening. But I think Trump said he's going to try to save TikTok.
He's going to partner a deal with an American company or something, I read. Let me ask you this, though. Why can't they just start an American TikTok? That platform is not that hard to create. I'm sure any of the big tech companies here could do that, and probably pretty easy. I mean, Facebook's already got something very similar.
And maybe Instagram is that. I'm not sure.
I just feel like people get so attached to an app that they can't make a change to something that's very similar.
Somebody will.
Yeah.
If there's not already one. I'm not privy to all the apps.
Yeah, I'm not either.
But maybe Instagram is that. I'm not up to date on the Instagram deal, but I think Instagram might be the substitute.
Sure.
I don't know. Maybe I'm completely wrong on that. Somebody can let me know if we're
don't know.
If we're out of bounds here. I really, I know a little bit about it, but I haven't been on Instagram much. I'm trying to set up the Blitz the Bookie page, but when it comes to being on Instagram and comparing it to TikTok, I'm not sure.
Yeah, but don't Facebook have like Facebook Reels? That's kind of what I look at, but I'm old school.
Yeah.
But when I look at TikTok versus Facebook Reels, I feel like it's almost the same thing.
Man, there's something about that TikTok app, though.
Well, sure, they're probably ahead of the game a little bit. Facebook is probably playing catch up, but like anything else, just like when they copy the smartphone or when the Chinese copy every good invention we have now, we copy one of theirs.
Yeah, I don't think the app it's not going to disappear off your phone magically on the 19th, I think the date is. But there will be some issues if they don't get it figured out. But, hey, let's jump over to Instagram, I guess. I think Instagram is just as hot as TikTok, so we're going to find out. Either way it goes, we'll be all right. Blitz the Bookie's just figuring out the TikTok. It would be our luck because I'm literally just figuring out, like, really getting to the point where making the videos on the TikTok is a little bit easier for me now. I'm actually working on one right now, but now I think I'm kind of wasting my time. We'll see what happens. Catch us on Instagram and YouTube and Facebook. We're old school. Catch us on Facebook.
Maybe we get a MySpace page,
MySpace, yeah. All right. Well, I did all right this weekend, Anthony, but I was out of town. I was in Maryland visiting some family, so I didn't bet a lot. I pretty much came out close to even. Might have lost a couple dollars, but didn't do a lot of betting. I felt like I picked halfway decent. I just didn't bet like I normally do, but always great catching up with friends and family that I haven't seen in a while. So I was in Maryland for the Ravens game Saturday night. It was crazy. I was with a ton of Ravens fans. I am not a Ravens fan, but I kept my mouth shut that night. There wasn't a whole lot to cheer for. The game was one of the ones that kind of got out of hand. I know it was only a 14-point game, but didn't really have anything to cheer for. But had a good weekend. Anthony, how was your weekend? How'd you do anything fun? How'd you do on your bets?
Very similar. I had a lot going on in family life, but I got to watch 2 awesome college football games. Was on the losing end of both of them. But I have futures tied into Texas and Ohio State. So I've kind of let my futures ride out. I would have been better off if Texas would have won. I thought Ohio State would win, like I said on the show, but I like Texas in the points. I still think Texas was a good bet. They scored their first and goal from the 1. They're probably 80 or 90% cover. That was a good bet. And I still think the Penn State bet was good. So the biggest reason I like Texas, I just felt like they were getting so much disrespect from everybody. Like they couldn't play with Ohio State. I knew that was false. And I felt strong about it anyway. So, look, the 2 teams I was on all year was Ohio State and Texas. So for me, the national championship game just happened. I need Ohio State to win. I got futures tied into Ohio State. Notre Dame wins, it would hurt them. I might even hedge because I'm getting like plus $3 money line on Notre Dame. So I'll probably hedge a little bit. But we'll get into that. It's college football. And then in pros, my 3 best picks were the Rams, which won, the Packers, which lost, and the Bills. So I went 2-1 with the bets I really played heavy. The Packers lost, but I get into that too. I thought they probably should have covered, but whatever, they didn't. And so besides that, the Rams won. So they're kind of my underdog pick and got in the playoffs. They won the first game, so we'll get into that one in the NFL. But all in all, I didn't bet a lot. I kind of got a lot of futures going on, and so just trying to ride them out. So it's at the point where I really don't need to bet a whole lot with the futures I got going. I wasn't crazy about the NFL games, but I do like the NFL games this week. Excited about the national championship game in college football.
Should be good. All right, well, before we get into all the football, let's touch on it real quick. The last time we did an episode last week, we were sitting here watching Kentucky and Georgia play basketball. Kentucky took the loss, and since then, they have got 2 big wins in the conference against ranked teams, one on the road and one at home. 95-90 win over Mississippi State, which was Saturday night, same time as the Ravens game. Like I said, I was in Baltimore. Wasn't a chance in France I was getting anybody in Baltimore to turn on the Kentucky game. So I didn't see any of that. I was keeping up with it on my phone. Looked like a great game, and they pulled it out on the road. So did you see any of that one?
I watched a little bit of it, and it was an exciting game. Cats playing good basketball right now.
Yep, and then they come home last night, and they play number 11, Texas A&M, and beat them by 12, 81-69. We had a little baseball meeting, and we were kind of keeping an eye on the game, but didn't watch every second of it. But what I saw, they looked good. I thought the refs, if anybody watched that game, did you watch any of the first half before you got up there?
No, I hadn't. No, I hadn't watched none.
Man, the refs looked I don't like complaining about the refs, but I'd like to see, because it was a situation where I was talking with people, and I wasn't sitting there watching every second, but seemed like every single call was going against Kentucky. I'm not saying they were bad calls or what, but it just seemed like every single whistle was against us. I'd like to see what the fouls were in the first half. They kept it close. Texas A&M did, but it looked like Kentucky played good and stretched it out, won by 12 in the second half. I seen a highlight of OA smashing on somebody's head. Did you see it?
Yep, I did.
Nah, that was nasty. I saw the highlight today on the TikTok, I think is where I saw it. Kentucky's, like you said, they're playing
good.
Playing
I love
good.
the road win against Mississippi State 2 back. I think Mississippi State was 11, but look, the home wins are one thing. I think the road environments are tough, especially against good ball clubs. Any good road win you get, put that in your pocket.
And we're finding out that this is a gauntlet that we're going through. I mean, we just played number 15 and number 11, and guess what we got coming in on Saturday? Number 4 Alabama.
It's pretty crazy.
Coming to Kentucky. So it's a gauntlet. Right now, we're 4-1 against ranked teams, Anthony. You can't ask for a whole lot more to start the season.
We got a good ball club.
Do you think we need to get a little bit more physical inside?
Yep.
I think the games that we've struggled have been a lot of opposing offensive rebounds.
Sure. It's almost like them old school teams. College basketball's changed. I mean, we all agree with it. I'm trying to figure out what's changed and what hasn't. It's definitely more shooters, spacing, free movement. But I do feel like when we do struggle, it's teams that get physical with us and maybe try to play a little old school game with us and are able to kind of impose their will. I'm sure everybody tries that to some degree against us, but some teams are able to impose their will, some teams aren't. But those do seem to be the teams that we struggle with, because when you look at us, we're not just a crazy athletic team. We're just a good basketball club that knows how to play basketball. And I think that's what probably wins in today's college basketball.
We don't have anything that's really imposing inside. Williams is our only really big guy, and half the time he's at the top of the key.
Yeah, but the game's played different. The game has changed. The game of college basketball.
Like you said, when you face that team that forces you to play that way, you better be ready for it.
I think we will struggle against those teams out there that are really physical, really athletic, that are really good. I think that would be a team I wouldn't want to face.
You know where all those teams play?
In the SEC.
In the SEC.
Yep, you're right.
A lot of these top SEC teams are very big, physical, imposing teams. So
I'll tell you this. I did go through and look, Charlie. We were talking about it, and I just start going down the rabbit hole. I picked out probably 6 or 7 of the top teams in the country. I would say 75% of the guys that get the most minutes on their teams are transfer portal guys. We are playing in the era of college basketball of hired mercenaries. I mean, let's don't kid ourselves. These guys, it's pay to play now. I don't even think recruiting's that big a deal for a coach. If you got the money, I'll be your guy. That's what we're living in, and we just got to adapt, and hopefully the college landscape will change, and we'll get a hold on this, because I do think it's getting out of control a little bit, especially in college football. I don't know what the answers are, but whoever does work on that, Charlie, I hope they get it right. I don't know what right is, but it's starting to get kind of wild out there.
It is. I'm sitting here looking at the rankings, top 25 in college basketball. Auburn 1, Alabama 3, or I'm sorry, Alabama 4, Florida 5, who did just take a loss last night. Only a 1-point loss, but they lost to Missouri at home. That's 3 of your top 5 in the SEC. Then Tennessee's at 6, Kentucky's at 8. So you got 5 of the top 10.
That's crazy.
You got 3 of the top 5. You got 5 of the top 10. And then right outside, you got Texas A&M, Mississippi State, Ole Miss, Georgia. That's 8. No, that's 9. Still ranked in the top 25.
Do you see any smaller brands in there?
And
top 10 or 15, Charlie?
No, you got Iowa State. Iowa State's ranked 2nd.
Yeah, but I wouldn't say they're a small brand.
Just not a basketball power, but they're definitely not a small brand. Marquette.
I think what you're noticing in college football and college basketball, that the smaller brands are starting to go by the wayside.
Look,
the teams that are spinning, that's the teams that are winning.
Yeah, the whole top 25 they're Power 5 teams.
Yeah.
Marquette. Everybody up, Memphis.
But, you used to see like little teams here and there in it.
Utah State's ranked 22nd.
Okay.
That's the only thing you got.
You got to give those guys some credit, because they're probably not.
16-1, ranked 22nd.
They're probably not spending much money. Even in college football, when you look at the Final Four college football, Texas, Ohio State, Notre Dame, and Penn State, then if you can go back farther, you get Oregon in there, Georgia. It's the teams that are spending the money. That's who's winning. Pay to play without a salary cap now. That is what it is. I mean,
and it's going to continue.
No, it is, until they find a way to fix it. I hope they do, because I do not see a good ending for this if it continues. I've read things, I've heard things about donor fatigue, fan fatigue with it. I'm looking at these college basketball teams, the top teams.
Well,
they're full
one
with
kid,
transfers.
The one kid BYU just signed got what, $7 million or something?
Yeah, Carson Beck, not even a good year.
No, I'm talking about the basketball kid.
Yeah, I've seen him. Yeah,
the number one ranked kid for next year. I forgot what
for
his name
college
is.
basketball, which
signed with BYU.
That's
for
a lot.
$7 million.
That's a lot for college basketball. They spend more money on football.
Most teams don't spend that.
No, they spend more of their money in football.
Don't spend half of that actually in college basketball. I could be off on those numbers.
No,
but
they
I
don't.
think most teams ain't spending $7 million on their college basketball team.
I heard to have a top level, want to be one of the big spenders in the NIL world, you're going to spend $20 to $23 million on a college football team. I also read in the same article that for a good basketball team, for about $4 million, you can put a good team together. And to spend $7 million on one high school player at that, spend that money across the board. Kentucky's kind of doing that in football this coming up year with the portal. If you just don't have gobs of money, I think you're better off just buying a bunch of good players than spending your money on the star players.
I'd guess that BYU probably won't be that good next year because he'll probably be the only damn player they got.
But Jerry Sloan and was it Steve Kerr? I don't know. It was some of them Utah guys.
Oh, they spitting out that money now?
Yeah. Since Pope left, they wanted to keep BYU relevant. Maybe Pope might have – I'm glad he came. But maybe he stayed. He might have been in a good situation. Maybe they wouldn't have done it at that point. But they're putting out that money. But maybe that one person was a way to show everybody in college basketball, we're here. It was almost like, yeah, they know they overspent for him. They know that it's probably too much to pay him. But it might have been their way of saying, we're here, college basketball.
Other than Kentucky, I have not watched a lot of college basketball. So I'm just looking at the top 25, and nothing's very surprising except to me, Iowa State. Iowa State 14-1, ranked number 2. Duke's still up there, ranked number 3. We know how good they are. Looks like a lot of SEC teams and Duke, Kansas, and Houston, who's been good the last handful of years. Michigan State, Connecticut, all the teams that Gonzaga, all the teams that you would expect. So I don't think anything crazy is really happening yet. But look, I dive into this college basketball as soon as pretty much right now. In these next couple weeks, when football slows down, that's when I start really watching all the teams. It's always sad when football season's over, but then you transfer over to college basketball, and you're right in the thick of conference play, thinking about, are you going to make the tournament? And next thing you know, it's March, and it's on.
No, it is. So I'm a huge college football fan. It's my favorite sport. I'm a football guy. But I've been crazy about college basketball for a lot of years. I have kind of got off the train a little bit, but I'm getting right back on. Excited to get back on. I don't like the whole what's going on with the NIL, but same thing's happening in college football. So if I love college sports, like I say I do, which I do, I'm just going to have to live with them. We'll have to adapt.
All right, well, let's jump on in. Anthony, you want to go ahead and recap these? Let's talk about these games, these two games we saw.
Two great
week.
games.
Yeah,
Two great
let's
games.
Talk about them because I do got a couple thoughts on them.
No, they are.
I'm pissed. Penn State got dominated in the third quarter. They
did. Well, I'll tell you this. So let's go to the score, okay?
They got dominated in the third quarter.
Penn State lost last-second field goal to Notre Dame. First thing I'll say is a great game. Fun game to watch, very competitive. I would say it was close to even. Like, I always try to analyze things and say, the best team don't always win, and this game was pretty even. I don't think you could say one was better than the other. I might say Penn State slightly outplayed them, but they got beat on a last-second field goal. That happens a lot in sports when teams are that close. Penn State come out to a 10-0 lead and really dominated. Notre Dame couldn't stop the run. You agree with that early, Charlie?
Dominated the whole first half.
Could not stop the run. Notre Dame kind of got a cheap field goal right before halftime. They're the kings of scoring right before halftime, then coming out and scoring. They did that against Georgia. That's what won them the game.
And
the turnover.
What got them right back in this one, too.
Yeah, it was. On that last drive before halftime, Notre Dame was down 10-0. They hadn't had much going. Riley goes down with an injury. That's Notre Dame's quarterback. Backup quarterback comes in. He's able to piece together a little piece of a drive, and they get a field goal. But I almost think that was a blessing in disguise. So going into halftime, Penn State's probably thinking, and they're two opposite quarterbacks. The guy came in was a pocket passer. Riley's a scrambler. They probably had to go into the locker room when they were trying to focus on making adjustments like you do at halftime. And they probably had to think, who's going to be the quarterback come out in the second half? It's almost like the Georgia-Texas game. And I was telling you, I know it sounds crazy, but does a team do that maybe on purpose? I'm not saying this was, but does a team do that on purpose maybe in a big game right before halftime, act like their quarterback gets hurt? And then that way the other team at least has that big issue to think about. Who's going to come in at quarterback? How are we going to defend the new quarterback? Because I feel like that happened, and that definitely had to be on Penn State's mind because it didn't look good for Riley. It looked like he might have had a concussion. Then Notre Dame comes out instead of –
I already like Freeman.
Yeah.
I already like him. If you're telling me he did that
No,
shit,
I'm not saying
I'm
not saying he did that. No, I'm not saying he did that. I'm just saying
if
it was a blessing in disguise, though. It was a blessing in disguise. And then they came out the second half. They scored the touchdown. Then I feel like Penn State kind of got their legs under them, got momentum. They got the ball back. Drew Aller. Penn State dropped that touchdown early where they got a field goal. That was a killer. That should have been a touchdown. It is what it is. It was a great game to watch. I'll say that. Great game by both teams. Look, I like James Franklin. I think he's a solid coach. I've never thought he was some great coach. He got out-coached, and I don't mean just by Freeman. You know I'm not a big Freeman guy, but I do think Notre Dame has an awesome coaching staff. They got Al Golden that used to coach at Miami, and they got Dunbrook that was with that LSU offense. And I think they're the two highest-paid coordinators, offensive, defensive coordinators in the country. It's probably the best coaching staff you could have. You got two geniuses at offense and defensive coordinator, and you got Freeman, who's kind of a leader of men. It's a great coaching staff. But really what I think they did, Charlie, to really get Penn State was running on it earlier. They couldn't stop it. So they brought all their safeties up. I mean, they were playing aggressive. But did you see that stat where Penn State had no receptions to their wide receivers, Charlie?
Yeah, I did. You're not going to win in the Final Four game when you can't even throw to your receivers. I'm going to be straight up. Aller did not play good enough for them to win that game in the second half.
I agree with that.
Played like shit in the second half.
I don't think that, but I'll take up for him a little bit. I think their offense is it's just a running offense, dude. It's a running tight end offense. If I was a quarterback, a big-time quarterback that had a good arm, I wouldn't go to Penn State. And I like Penn State. But if I was a running back, big offensive lineman, tight end, I'd go to Penn State. Linebacker, I'd go to Penn State.
Singleton had 3 touchdowns.
Their offense is very run-oriented, tight end-oriented, and they're physical. They're physical, man. I love their run game. Both those guys are actually coming back next year. Drew Aller's coming back, but they have a really good backup, so there might be some competition for that starting spot. But it was a fun game. Did you agree it was a fun game, Charlie?
It was a good game. I just came out on the wrong end of it, so I was pissed off. I actually had to watch this on the flight.
Yep.
On my flight to Baltimore. My scheduled flight that day was what day was that? Thursday. That was Thursday. My flight was scheduled to leave at like 3 o'clock.
Right.
I ended up sitting in the airport for like 6 hours and had to watch that game on the plane. And the first half was looking good. I thought we might be in for it might get out of hand. I really did. The way that Penn State was playing in the first half, I thought they completely dominated the first half. Have not looked at the box score, the stats of the first half. I do not know what they were, but it just the eye test that we always talk about, complete domination.
I think Penn State was a little better. I'm not saying a lot, but I do think they were a little better. But they lost. So
that middle, whatever you want to call it, middle 8. Last 4 minutes of the second quarter and the first 4 minutes of the third quarter.
Notre Dame might have outplayed them, but it wasn't by much. They're the kings of scoring before halftime and then coming out and scoring again. That's huge. That is huge.
That was big.
It happened in the Georgia game. They scored like 17 points in so many seconds against Georgia. You know, they had the touchdown, then the turnover and touchdown, and then they scored on the open second half kickoff. So
and Penn State could not get anything going in the third quarter offensively. They couldn't do anything. Now, the fourth quarter was a little bit different for both teams. It was 17-14 scoring-wise in the fourth quarter. That was by far the highest scoring quarter, which was they both kind of came alive a little bit. But I thought that third quarter was just a dagger for Penn State, and I think it cost them. It really did.
I tell you, man.
And Allard just didn't play good enough.
I really wish Penn State would just play for overtime. I liked them in overtime. I thought they had more momentum in Notre Dame at the end of the game. They're not that kind of offense that just goes down the field real fast. Play for overtime.
They ran it on first down and ran for like 14 yards, So I understand coming up and maybe throwing a pass downfield to see what you can do. I think there was about 40 seconds left. I could be off, but I want to say it was about 40 seconds. It was a little bit of time to, after that first down play that got you that 14-yard, because I do think they were playing for the field goal.
Oh,
but that first run got them about 14 yards on that run, and I think that was.
You mean playing for overtime at that point?
Is that not what I said?
You said field goal. It ain't no big deal.
They were definitely playing for overtime.
Yeah.
On the first down play when they run the ball.
Should have ran it again.
But then you run it for 14 yards or whatever it was.
Yeah, I get it.
And it was almost like, okay, let's at least try. I don't even think the play call was bad. Alar fucked up.
He did.
You don't force that right there.
No, you first down, throw it in the ground.
Yeah. Throw it away. It's first down, stop the clock. Maybe you go back to your original game plan of just running the ball.
He fucked up wrong time. He didn't throw no interceptions at the end. Fucked up wrong time. Riley Leonard threw 2 interceptions early, but at the end he was able to come up and get them in field goal range. So,
but it was
a big one.
At the worst time ever.
Look, it was a great game. When that game was over, as somebody that was a handicapper and I picked Penn State, I didn't love them. I knew it was going to be a good game. I said that on here. I knew it was going to be a good game. I liked them. I definitely bet that I liked. They were very similar teams. But even after that game, sometimes if things ain't going good for me on my picks and I'm like, man, I'm just not seeing the ball good. But, I've been pretty locked in. Even after that game, I was okay with that pick. That was probably, if they played again, I'd probably bet Penn State again. I think I'd be a slight favorite to cover that bet. So that's my opinion. Maybe you got others.
I completely agree with that. Penn State was the better team, I think. Maybe just by a little bit.
Not by much, but a little bit.
I think they should have won that game.
Let's
not forget about the receiver for Notre Dame who played out of his ass there.
Yep.
Actually, he did have a good game. He had 7 receptions, but, of course, the one killed him. The boy slipped.
Yep.
The defender slipped.
Twice. I forgot all about that. That's what lost them the game.
The defender
slipped. That's what lost. Listen.
They were not driving right
there.
Oh,
my God. No, they weren't.
That was.
Dude, I felt like we're good. I was telling my son, Rex, he was pulling for Notre Dame. I said, Bub, you in trouble. I said, they're struggling just getting any kind of first down. They were getting 1 or 2 here, but, man, it was like a struggle to get it. Each one of them.
54-yarder.
And then it was a sack on first down on a play. And so it was 2nd and 14. And this was the first slip. Little out route was going to be 3 yards. This is that last drive. Was going to bring up 3rd and 11. They were on their own 30. He slips. He turns a 3-yard out route into like a 10-yard gain.
Yep.
The same guy. And then they get up to like the 35. Still, I feel good. You're not going to get a touchdown.
They were trying hard to get with
their offense was struggling.
It was. Let's not act like Notre Dame's got a bunch of star receivers because their passing game was not that much better. I know he had 223 yards, but look, 105 was to that kid. Yeah. And 54 was on that one play.
And it was just a total.
Take away that 54-yarder, and he had 175 yards.
Yeah, it was a total slip. It was just a total slip. The guy, he gave him like how many yard touchdown? Like 60-yard touchdown?
54 yards.
Yeah, I mean, man, that was the killer. That boy slipped twice. Did he get paid off, Charlie?
Maybe.
Maybe.
Maybe. I'm not big on that, but maybe. I don't know. That was big.
Twice.
Couldn't have been at any bigger time and made that Jaden Greathouse kid look like he had the game of his life. It was, 7 receptions, 105 yards, but that touchdown right there won him the game. So.
No, I did. And look, a lot of big Notre Dame fans across the country, probably the most popular team in America. It's got the Catholic connection. I'm happy for them. I pull for Notre Dame sometimes. I don't have no problem with that. Good game. I'm glad it was a good game because there wasn't a whole bunch of good games in college football playoff, but it's ended well. So, that was good. So,
real quick before you get on to the next one, I heard if you get to the college football playoff, your conference gets $14 million.
Right.
That has to be split between every team.
Yep.
Notre Dame ain't got to split their money with nobody.
No, they don't.
And if you, I think, either make it to or win the national championship, might just be make it to, you get 20. So they get $20 million right in their own pocket.
They got the highest paid coordinators. They got the top 2 quarterbacks in the portal last 2 years, and Riley and Sam Howell the year before.
Notre Dame's going to be a power, like a top 5 power.
They are, especially if they keep
from now on.
Especially if they keep their coaching staff together. I mean, it's the perfect coaching staff. You got 2 gurus as the coordinators. Them guys are good as coordinators as anybody in the country. I do think people might come after him. I actually told you, I think the hire Al Golden, which is their defensive coordinator, he was a coach at Miami down in Florida for like 4 years. He was the one that wore the khaki pants. Remember him in the white shirt? Everybody says he's a guru of a coach. He didn't like recruiting. Well, in today's world, especially down at Miami now, you don't have to recruit. Money recruits for you. So you don't have to go into living rooms and talk to mama and do all that. Now you just tell them, hey, this is how much I'm going to pay you. And Miami gets a lot of money. I'm not saying he goes back to Miami. I'm just saying that's the biggest thing that I would take from this whole NIL thing is you don't got to be a salesman no more as a recruiter. Money talks. So, a guy that's a really good X's and O's guy that's kind of a guru, that's probably why Belichick would do good in North Carolina. You don't have to recruit no more. So those guys that was the great recruiters, I'm not sure if that's much of an advantage anymore.
I just think I don't know if there's another team that's going to benefit more from this new college football playoff than Notre Dame.
Yep.
They get to set their own schedule.
I don't know if I'd play them if I was the big conferences. I'd say, okay, you ain't going to have the schedule.
Yeah.
If you don't want to join, especially if I was the Big Ten. But
guess what? They've already proven that you ain't got to – all you got to do is just get wins.
Oh, listen, you know how I feel. You are way better off in the situation like the Big Ten is.
That's what I'm saying.
Where you're top heavy.
That's why Notre Dame is – they can't be in a better position. They get to set their own weak-ass schedule.
Yes.
Then they get to make the college football playoff probably every year, make $14 million to themselves, and then if they get to the championship, they get an extra $6 million. I'm sure that number will grow as the years go. So,
yep.
And they don't have to split it with anybody. No. So guess where that money goes?
In their pocket.
Right back into their football team.
You know what? I wouldn't allow.
They ain't spending it on their basketball team. I promise you that.
I wouldn't allow them to be in my conference. If I was, who are they in the ACC? I wouldn't allow them to be in my basketball conference. If you don't want to come over to football, you're not going to get to participate in basketball.
I don't think that'll happen.
Yeah, I'm with you. But you get what I'm saying?
No, I get it, but I just don't think they'll do it.
So that was a great game. Notre Dame marches on to the national championship, and they will face the Ohio State Buckeyes.
So what is it? The Catholics versus the what?
Convicts versus the Catholics. That was
Well, that was Miami, but I guess you could probably call Ohio State that too, right?
Yeah, I think Ohio State got some good guys. They don't got a bunch of punks. So look, for me personally, I started the year, and I said, on paper, I think Ohio State's the best team. And I stuck by that. I still believed it. After the Michigan game, and then you were actually the one that got me on them, Charlie, if you remember. You said, man, Texas looks pretty good. And I start watching them. I watched them against Michigan, which Michigan had a rough year, but their defense was still good. And then I watched them against somebody else. And I start seeing how good their defense was, how good they were. And I said, man, I think it's Ohio State or Texas. I still think Ohio State's the best team. And so the year played out. College football playoff happened. The bracket come up. Right away, I thought it would be a Texas-Ohio State matchup. I just did over there. I thought Oregon would get beat. I've made that very public. So to me, that was the national title game. Now, I'm not saying Notre Dame can't win, but to me, that was a national title game. And
I'll say Notre Dame can't win.
I ended up betting Texas, and I think a lot of that had to do with two things. One thing, I had some future bets on both of them. And I would almost double the money if Texas won. So I was a little bit more tied into Texas than Ohio State. And the only reason I was more tied in, because I thought Ohio State was a better team, is I got better odds when I bet Texas at that moment. But I had enough bet on Ohio State too, so I would come out good either way. I just can't have Notre Dame win.
You ain't got to worry about that.
At that point, I was kind of committed to Texas, and I just kept hearing all this stuff on the national media, just people I talked to. Texas don't have a shot against Ohio State. They're going to run them out of the building. And my mind just told me that was wrong, and that you're going to give me 7 points, I'll take it. I still thought Ohio State maybe was slightly better, but I thought Texas could play with them. I thought they had the defense to play with them. I thought they were being undervalued by a lot of people just because of some of the scores. Yeah, Arizona State played them close, but Texas got through on them a lot. That boy was just – them two guys played out of their minds that game. They were just a funny team. They would get up on you, and then they would just kind of go to sleep, let you come back. And I kind of thought it would benefit them to kind of be the underdog in the game. And so that's who I took. At the end of the day, I felt just like in the Penn State game. I feel like it was a good bet. They had first and goal from the one with 2 minutes to go to tie the game. Even if you score there, you tie it up. If Ohio State wins, they probably play for a field goal. The +7's a good bet. I probably was an 80% winner from right there.
I'm glad you went to that straight to that because that's all I wanted to talk about.
What's that?
The end of the game.
Bad play call.
All right, so it's fourth quarter.
Yep.
It's 14-14. Ohio State gets the ball first and goal on the 2-yard line.
Well, they had to get down there first. They had to convert 2 fourth downs to get down there.
I get it, but I'm just saying they get to the point where I think there was even a penalty in the end zone, which is what gave them first and goal on the 2.
Yep.
And what does Ryan Day do? He lines up under center and runs the ball straight ahead on first down and scores a touchdown.
Yep.
And I told my stepdad sitting there watching the game, the way this is going – and here in about 30 seconds, this game's going to be tied.
Texas had momentum.
How long did it take Texas to get down there?
Long.
Not long.
I wouldn't have minded the overtime because I really thought Texas was kind of not in complete control. Not that, but I thought they had a little bit of an edge on Ohio State at that moment. I really do. I thought they were starting to move the ball. Things were starting to work for them. Their defense was playing good all day. Even on that touchdown drive they had, there was 2 fourth downs they had to convert.
Less than 1 minute after Ohio State does that, Texas is in the same exact position.
Yep.
First and goal on the 2-yard line.
And I get, look.
And what does Sarkisian call?
Yeah.
He calls a shotgun. Sweep.
Probably the worst play
pitch.
Call.
Loss of 7 yards.
I guess
that play right there.
He got too cute.
Cost them the game.
I would have to think that he thought they were just going to pinch middle. They're going to sell out. Because at some point, sometimes you got to guess, and he did, and he got too cute.
Why are we seeing this so often? Texas did it last week against Arizona State on their own, backed up on their own 1-yard line. They go shotgun, and Arizona State gets a safety.
Yeah.
They sit there and watch their defense go up against Ohio State first and goal on the 2, and they run it right down your throat, and it only takes them one play. And then you decide to do the same dumb shit. I don't understand.
I don't like the play call.
These short yardage
shotgun
plays.
Yeah, I
don't
like it. I don't like it either. I don't like it either.
It blows my mind. I think that play cost them the game.
At least try one quarterback sneak right there. At least one. Okay, if you don't want, and even if you do, don't do the quarterback sweep. Do a rollout pass if it ain't there. Tell him throw it away. Like I get it. You think they're going to pinch the middle? Okay, try to get a tight end. If it ain't there, tell him, hey, you got a tight end.
You got 4 chances.
Yeah,
from
yes.
The 2.
Yes, I'm with you.
You can't run the ball 4. If I'm running the ball 4 times in a row.
Yeah, I don't mind a pass.
Unless on first down somehow I get like a 3-yard loss. But I'm running it. I'm trying 4 times
if they sell out, they can get you for a yard or 2 loss. So, listen, I've always been a fan of on first down, give me a rollout pass. Second down, I quarterback sneak it. Third down, fourth down, whatever at that point. That's kind of my theory on it. Because if they're stronger than you in the middle and they pinch middle, they can get you for a yard or 2 loss.
I'm coming at you 4 times in a row. Now, maybe something changes on 3rd and 4th, and maybe I try a little bootleg or something. But my mindset on first down, I'm coming right at you. I'm coming downhill, and my quarterback will be under center.
You know what's sad about it is that the Texas coaching staff did a wonderful job the whole game with everything they were doing. Jeremiah Smith, 1 catch for 3 yards. They did an awesome job.
They locked him up.
I was watching a guy talk about what they did to him. They were disguising things on him. Their defense played a masterpiece. Dude.
I'm going to tell you what kept them in the game, though.
What's that?
Ohio State was getting to Ewers in the second half every single time, but they couldn't get the sack. They were a split second late.
Sure.
But he was doing a little bit to avoid it. But
Ewers played a good game.
Ohio State was on his
ass.
They were. He took a lot of hits in the second half. They were. I kept telling my stepdad, they're going to get to him eventually.
Yep.
It took till that very last play of the game.
Yeah, it's
very last play of the game.
That was going to be hard to score from there.
That was a hell of a
play. Oh, it was. I like Jackson. I like Jack Sawyer too. I hated that for my bet because I actually had +7, and I thought even if they don't get this, I'm in good shape. They're not going to score. I'll push. And then not only that, but they got 3 timeouts. They're backed up. They still got a shot at this. Jack Sawyer, I like the guy a lot.
They finally got to him.
Yep.
They were. I'm telling you, Ohio State was right on the brink of getting Ewers, sacking him almost every time he dropped back in the second half.
Ewers played really good.
He did. He
played really good.
He did play good.
He played really good, especially with that much pressure.
The pressure was there.
Yeah, it was.
I'd like to see how many hits he took in the second half because he took a lot of hits.
Ewers is.
But he did play good.
I think Ewers gets a lot of bad publicity sometimes. I think the boy's pretty good. I just do.
I'm going to tell you my favorite part about this game.
It was a heck of a game.
My favorite part, well, besides the fact that I had Ohio State, my favorite part was, you said his name was Jack Sawyer?
Yeah.
Did you watch the interview after the game?
Which one?
Directly after the game on the field with the lady, just right after the game. She pretty much said, look, you're going to be an Ohio State legend for life. And that man looked her right in the eyes and said, all I want to do is win a national championship.
Yeah.
I thought that was cool as hell because the play that he made is definitely going to make him a legend forever, whether they win or lose. Of course, they want to win that game, but he didn't care about being the legend at that moment. He wanted to win the national championship.
Ohio State's had the best team on paper all year. They're loaded. They got some guys on that team. Jack Sawyer's one of them. They got Caleb Downs. They got Howard, which I'm glad he's really revived himself because people were doubting him there. We knew he was good. He made that mistake early in the year, and people judged him on it all year. Ohio State really tried to develop a running game all year, but at the end of the day, they were just really good. They were really good. They had
Howard was 24 for 33, 289 yards, and his top receiver had nothing.
And not just that, but he did that against a really good defense. I'm telling you, dude, that Texas defense is legit. They can guard. That defense is as good as any defense out there. I'd say Ohio State, I would say, is better than Texas by a little bit. I'm not sure if it's a lot. I think it's just a hair, but I think they're better than Texas. But I think Ohio State has the best overall team, but I think Texas has the best defense. I know people want to say Ohio State. Yeah, Texas defense is good. I thought it all year. I will definitely be rooting for Ohio State. I need them for some good futures. I like Howard. I like Caleb Downs. I felt like I was pulling against them, and I felt like the only reason I was pulling against them because I needed more money for my futures, and just everybody was disrespecting Texas. And I just knew Texas was better than that, the disrespect they were getting. And so I found myself defending Texas, but at the end of the day, congratulations to Ohio State. They deserved it. When they lost to Michigan, everybody was doubting them. The game was cold, windy. Don't toss it, guys. People overreact so much on stuff. It's like when Notre Dame lost to Northern Illinois. Sometimes you have a bad game. It just happens. Sometimes you have a bad game and you lose. That's what's great about the playoff now is that you can have a bad game and lose, and it don't cost you your chance at a national title. Because
look at the road Ohio State's about to.
No.
Look at what they faced since that Michigan game.
No doubt. They were probably
Tennessee, Oregon, Texas, and now they got beat Notre Dame. Can we say that
Michigan was a blessing in disguise because they didn't have to go play Oregon? I wouldn't want to play Oregon there and then had to go play them again.
If Ohio State wins, are they one of the best teams of all time? I mean, that's. I know this is the first year of this, but they're Tennessee.
Maybe the only reason
number one team, Texas.
The only reason
now Notre Dame.
The only reason I would say maybe is because maybe these are the best teams we've ever seen just because we're living in the NIL area. It used to be if you had a hole, you just had to fill it with other players on your teams. But you didn't see it as much or feel it as much because those players, you played against other teams in the same. But when we're saying the best of all time, are they better than the Burrow, Chase, Jefferson team? Or are they better than the 2001, I think that was Hurricanes with Ed Reed and all them guys on it, Taylor, and a team was loaded.
Yeah,
but looking back at it, hey, maybe this team has those guys. Look, I think Will Howard's good. Jeremiah Smith, the other receiver, Sawyer, Caleb Downs. There's some other guys over there. The running back, they got some dudes. They got some dudes on that team. You know who I'm happy for?
I don't know if I want to say best team ever, but man,
a really good team.
How they're going to get there and get who they're going to have to go through that's ridiculous.
I'll tell you this: who I'm happy for. On a personal note, I'm so happy for Ryan Day. I've always felt like he was a good coach. I felt like people want to doubt him. People want to write him off. He's had a great record while he's at Ohio State, one of the best teams in the country every year. I thought they were maybe the best team a couple years ago when he lost on that last-second field goal to Georgia. They outplayed Georgia. So they had some bad luck that game. People wanted to doubt Ryan Day. He teamed back up with a really good friend of his. He played for Chip Kelly. Chip Kelly's now his offensive coordinators. They're really good friends. I know they're having a blast through this together, but I just love it when people overreact all the time and then they have to eat a little crow. I live for that. One of the big reasons, I bet Texas was because of that. That's all I heard. Texas couldn't play with them. And I just thinking, your people are crazy. This is a high-level team. Yeah, they're not sexy, people don't like defense. The average fan just don't like defense. Some people, don't play. If they think they're better than a team, they don't call really aggressive play calls because they think they're going to let their defense win. Why try to make a mistake? So, but all in all, 2 great games. I definitely will be pulling for Ohio State. They're minus Ohio State, Charlie, is going to be minus
8.
Minus 8. Minus 8.
Well, one more time for the road since Texas lost.
Yeah.
Sarkisian sucks.
They called a really good game up to that point.
God.
I don't know what I feel about him. About him. There's times I get mad at him, and there's times I think he's a really good coach. Dude, they called a masterpiece of a game against Ohio State.
Until it mattered. Then you run a sweet play, lose 7 yards.
But that running back got to eat that and take a 2-yard loss. He tried to wiggle around back. I'm not blaming on the running back, but that can't happen. You got to tell yourself, if it ain't there, I'm going to take what I can get. Trying to play hero right there. Ohio State's too quick for that. It's first down. I didn't like that play call either. Only thing I'm thinking, they thought they was going to pinch the middle. That one guy got through and blew it up. Oh, it is what it is.
Sarkisian sucks.
You're not that good a team if you say Cole. Yeah, but I get what you're saying, though. I'm not a huge fan. I'm in the middle with him. I do think he had a good game up his sleeve, and I thought they called a really good game. I do, because I think Ohio State's really good.
I think it was real close to being a blowout with the way Ohio State was getting to the.
Yeah, but they shut that. But they shut that down. And they kind of grabbed the momentum after that. Early on, I agree. I was a little worried early on.
The pressure was a lot. It was what I wouldn't say it was as much pressure as Texas was putting on Arizona State's quarterback the last week, but it was damn close in the second half, dude. They were. I felt like, I feel
like Texas started to learn how to ways to deal with it too. Oh, they start running some pretty creative stuff. I thought that was able to get them some yards on those plays. I really think that Texas kind of grabbed control there for a while. The touchdown before half killed them. They went up there, they tied it, they were kind of game momentum, 25 seconds to go, and they gave up that touchdown on that one play, like a 70-something yard screen. That can't happen. That's what cost them the game, because after that, the opening.
That was right after they finally scored their.
They tied it up at 14. They tied it up at 14 right before half.
No, it was.
Yeah, it was. They tied it up.
It was 14-7 at halftime.
No, was it? Okay. Yeah. Well, they must just tied it up at 7 then, right before half.
Yeah, they had just tied it up at 7.
Yeah,
and they worked their ass off for that touchdown.
They did, but they
worked their ass off.
But they had came back.
The whole first half, they worked their ass off. Ohio State's defense played lights out.
I will say the part way through the second quarter, I thought Texas started to take control a little bit, and they scored that touchdown. And when they did, they gave up that screen. 25. That was a free touchdown. Yeah. That's the difference in the game.
You know what about that free touchdown though? That was a perfect.
Oh, it was
absolutely perfect. Not just play call, but execution of the play.
Yeah.
Them linemen were out. Linemen were out there, and they all got their blocks, and it was wide open.
They did.
But yeah, I thought that was a dagger for Texas, because I felt like that first touchdown that Texas got, I felt like they worked their ass off.
You say that, but it's 7 plays and 59 yards, and 7 plays in a minute and 23. They scored that touchdown.
Yeah, but how much time was left in the second quarter when they scored it?
29 seconds. 29, but they only got into that third down there. The rest were first and second downs. Kind of went down there.
I felt like every drive Texas had in the first half, they were working their ass off.
I do think for the first quarter and a half that Ohio State had control of the game. I do. There was a time there in the second half where I thought Texas kind of was outplaying them. I was happy. I was fine with going to overtime. I felt good about where Texas was. I think Ohio State was really starting to have trouble with Texas at that moment.
Sawyer said, no.
That's right. He did. No, and I was happy for him. I really was. I have no
play. Sack, forced fumble recovery, and like a 95-yard touchdown.
It was. It's unreal. Ohio State
had some wheels too when he first.
He's good, dude. He's good. Jack Sawyer's good.
Running, I was thinking
he's a stud, dude. He's a stud. He could play for me any day. But I'm going to give Texas credit, man. I think Ohio State's the best team in the country, top dog, and I really think that game could have went either way. If you gave me 7 points again, I would take Texas plus 7 again.
All right, well, let's get into the national championship.
Right. Ohio State, -8. Did you get 8 or 8.5? It started off at 9.5, so monies came in on Notre Dame. Are you seeing anything over there, Charlie?
8.5.
8.5. So Notre Dame was able to stop Penn State because they came up and pretty much dared on throw the ball. and Penn State did a little bit of it, but Notre Dame had to bring everybody up, play super aggressive, almost like Arizona State did against Texas at times, and gamble a whole lot, and Penn State just wasn't able to make them pay for it. I will promise you this. If they play man coverage on the receivers, Oregon tried that for a little bit. If they play man coverage on Ohio State's receivers, they don't have Notre Dame's, the middle of their defense is pretty solid. But their DBs, their safeties, they don't have Texas's DBs and safeties. Texas has some guys that can guard. Notre Dame don't got those kind of guys. I think Ohio State rolls. I think Notre Dame got lucky to get past Georgia. I think they got not lucky to get past Penn State because that's not fair because they were pretty even. But I thought Penn State was just as good, if not slightly better. I thought Georgia outplayed them. And they got Indiana the first round. I'm not saying they're no good or they wouldn't be here. They're really good. But I think the national championship game was Ohio State versus Texas. I think Ohio State rolls. If I didn't have so much future money to win on them, I would make a decent-sized bet. But I have enough money just on the money line Ohio State. Now, my question is, do I hedge? Because I can get plus $3 on Notre Dame. So that's going to be my question. Do I hedge at plus $3?
Don't be greedy.
I think I'll hedge. I'm not a greedy person. I'll say it. If Notre Dame wins, I win. I mean, if Ohio State wins money line, I'll win like $2,800. Yeah, I could hedge Notre Dame for $4 plus $3. That'd be $1,200. On a $400 bet, and then if Notre Dame was a win, I'd win 12. But then I'd be giving $400 of the $2,800 Ohio State money back, so I'd still be plus $2,400. So I think that's the move. Don't you think that's the move?
Yeah, that's a no-brainer.
Yeah, I think so too. I think so too.
You'd be silly not to.
I am. I'm not greedy either. I'm not greedy.
I'm going to agree. I don't think this game's close. I really don't. I think actually Ohio State wins by about 2 touchdowns. I just don't think they have the athletes, like you said, on the edges.
That's it. In the middle, they'll be fine.
Oh, yeah. I mean, Notre Dame's got the trenches figured out. Their defensive line is legit. Their offensive line is legit. They run the shit out of the ball. That's what they do. But on the edges, on offense and defense, I think it's just a big-time mismatch.
Georgia pretty much shut down Notre Dame's offense. But Georgia didn't have the offense to make them pay. Ohio State does. And I do think Georgia's defense is really good, but so is Ohio State's. Very similar defenses, different defenses, but similar in the sense of the quality of their defense. But Georgia just didn't have much of an offense. And I still think Georgia outplayed them. They just a couple big turnovers there, a couple huge turnovers. They outgained them. The turnover led to the touchdown. The kick return at halftime, where the boy ran into the thing, and then the fumble when Georgia was down to like the 10-yard line where the running back just got stuck. Notre Dame had a lot go their way. But all in all, their offense in that game did not do much. Notre Dame's offense in that game gained 234 yards and 14 first downs against Georgia. That's not much. They're going to face similar against Ohio State.
I like to buy points down and get it to the number that I like.
Buy them up.
And this is 8.5. I'm not even bullshitting. I'm considering buying it up to minus 10, maybe even minus like 12 or 13. I'm serious.
So I got a friend that does
I know
that.
Sounds
I got a friend. I've tried it a few times.
I'm thinking about it.
You get.
I might spread my bets out a little bit and do like
take them minus 15, maybe an ass whooping. Dude, you can get pretty good odds.
I might take them at like 3 different numbers.
Yeah, I like it.
And I don't know how I'm going to do it yet, but I'm thinking about maybe.
I like the idea of that. So I have a friend that does that. I like the idea of doing that in times where you think there's a chance a team can blow them out. Try to get you some better odds.
I'm thinking about it.
I don't like buying points on the other end, but I don't mind buying them up. I'm about odds. Yeah. I'm about odds. I want some money. I want some plus.
I think this game could get out of hand. I really do. My thing with this game is Notre Dame is going to have to figure out a way to score early and play from a lead. Because
yes, they got to. You're right. You're right.
To get a 7-point lead, even like 2 field goals. Maybe if they could squeak in like 6-0.
Time of possession game.
Yep. Now they.
Yep.
Just
that's the game.
Try to pound. But if they get down, 10-0, 14-0, it's going to be hard to stick to that game plan when they're trying to catch up. So I really, honestly, in my mind, the key to this game for Notre Dame is not only to keep it close early, I think they need to get a lead.
I'll tell you this. If I'm Notre Dame, and they got really good coaches, that's where I do think I'd give them an outside shot. But if I'm Notre Dame, if I get down 14-0, I'm sticking to my game plan. If they start trying to pass against Ohio State, they will kill them.
And they probably will stick to their game plan because they don't have a big-time air raid offense.
No, they don't.
So they will stick to their game plan, and it'll be hard to keep up with Ohio State, especially if they get down 14.
Oh, they will. But at what point do they have to abandon? How many points is it? How late is it? Because at some point you got to say, okay, I got to start taking some chances here.
Maybe they take Leonard out and put their boy in and throws the ball a little bit more.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Yep.
But they won't do that.
Yeah.
Leonard's got them where they're at now. But that to me,
They can't pass the ball in Ohio State. I'm telling you, Ohio State's DBs and them guys.
There's been 3 or 4 teams that have really tried to air it out against Ohio State, and they all failed. That's not the way.
Mm-mm. I thought Ewers maybe played the best game I've seen against Ohio State, and that's Texas. Notre Dame don't have that passing offense. They just don't.
The problem is Ohio State's defense is so good that running the ball ain't easy either.
No, they got guys like Caleb Downs, like Jack Sawyer. They get a lot of yards. Their offense in that Ohio State game was pretty much Leonard trying to scramble to make yards. Against Penn State, it's Riley scrambling around. I don't think you do that as much on Ohio State. Ohio State can almost play man with those receivers out there and almost put a spy on Leonard in places. I really do. Because I think if you shut down Leonard scrambling, they'll have a hard time creating offense against Ohio State. That's just my theory.
Notre Dame's going to have a hard time winning this game, pulling the upset. I think they're going to have a hard time even covering that 8.5. So I'm all over Ohio State here. I love it. I love the pick.
I do too. I mean, I'm glad I got the futures because I just got money line, but I do like that bet, but I can't put no more money on them.
No, you can't.
No.
The only thing you could do is just not hedge. But, you know.
But I'm not greedy, dude. Yeah. I'm not greedy. To me, I want to win the guaranteed winner.
Look, that's what we're trying to do, right?
That's right.
Profit.
That's right.
Don't be greedy on your profits, guys.
My nephew's he's a gambler like that. He's turned down some big buyouts. Your cousin Drew, he's a gambler, son.
Everybody wants the big one. Everybody wants to hit that big one. Don't be too greedy. Take the money when you can get it.
I wish I had the balls to do it, dude. I don't have the balls. It's not even that I need the money or I don't. Yeah, of course I could use the money, but for me, I'm always trying to be strategic. Okay, I want to win for this week. Sometimes I wish I would just go for it on things, but I don't.
Well, Ohio State, let's go.
Let's do it. So that's college football, guys. That's end of the season, last game. Let's enjoy it.
That is Monday night
in
Atlanta.
On a little side note, listen, I will be heartbroken if Ohio State loses because of my future bets, and I thought they were the best team. But if Notre Dame did win it, it'd be a cool story.
I think it's cool that we got 2 big-time power. I mean, it doesn't get a whole lot bigger than Ohio State and Notre Dame when it comes to college football.
I would say them are probably, I mean, from what I've read about NIL, that might be your 2 biggest NIL spenders. I mean, you got Oregon and Texas A&M, but yeah, that might be your 2 biggest spenders in the NIL world.
All right, before Monday, we're going to have some NFL games.
Real quick. I do just want to make a quick note. John Mater, he was the Washington State quarterback. He had a $3 million deal to go to Oklahoma. Miami was after him pretty hard, the Hurricanes, and they were in that battle, but he ended up going there for $3 million. Dylan Raiola, Nebraska's quarterback, there's some crazy rumors out there that he has a $12 million offer on the table somewhere. That's not been confirmed. That's just what people have talked about. And so Miami lost out on the John Mater sweepstakes. So instead they go up to Athens, Georgia, and they got Carson Beck. I don't think they stole him because I think Georgia just let him go. But Miami paid Carson Beck anywhere from $3 to $4 million, reports say. That's twice of what your dude down there, Cam Ward, gets paid. So they have high expectations for Carson. I hope Carson does well. I felt horrible for how his season went and stuff, but it sounds like he made $10 million at Georgia. He's going to make $3 to $4 million at Miami, and I've heard stories of $7 to $8 million in actual name, image, and likeness. So they're predicting he makes $12 million next year at Miami. Jaden Daniels at Washington, I think they said, made a little bit over $1 million this year.
I can tell you what he's going to get a chance to do down there at Miami.
Drive that Lamborghini?
Yeah, that and sling that ball around because they throw the shit out of it.
Yeah, they do.
So we'll find out. I think Beck's.
I hope he bounces back.
Talk about somebody that gets disrespected. I think he's getting some disrespect.
I get it.
He's a decent quarterback.
Is he I think he's decent, but I don't think he's a $4 billion quarterback.
Well, that's subjective. I mean, When it comes to college quarterbacks, though, I think he's a good college quarterback. Is he going to be a good NFL quarterback? I don't know. But when it comes to college quarterbacks, I like the kid. I'd take him if I was Miami. Why not?
Oh, I wouldn't pay that for him, but I would take him if I could get him cheaper. You know, I had heard reports about, and I need to read about it because I said something to you about it before we got on tonight, but all the players really was against his girlfriend. There was some stuff that happened with his relationship in the locker room. And have you read that stuff, Charlie?
I don't know nothing about it. Yeah,
I don't know either.
I don't know anything.
We'll have that for next time because that sounds interesting. That's it with college football, guys. It's been a great year. I'm sad to see it go. Look, I don't feel like I've ever been more locked in on college football than I was this year. Really, I was locked in. If I can get this locked in, that doing this podcast, and Charlie might agree with this, it makes you do extra homework, right, Charlie? Like it just does. Like you want to be informative. You want to, and so I'm a gambler too. As the season got about halfway done, I was really starting to see the ball good. I never really got there in the NFL. I had my ups and downs like anybody else. But in college football, man, I really was seeing the ball good. If I can get to that point next year, I might try to take advantage. I'm kind of mad that I didn't bet bigger than what I did when I was seeing the ball that well. Now, it's easy to say that now. I get that. But, man, I felt like I was really locked into who was good, who wasn't. It's been a good year for me, gambling at college football, NFL up and down. But in college football, it's been a really good year.
It's going to be about 3 or 4 years. I know we said it on episode 1 and whatever, but it's going to be 3 or 4 years in a row for both of us. Because I'm up for football too.
Yeah,
I'm up for the year. I don't know exactly the number, but I know I'm up.
But I've never felt like I've got like NFL figured out all the way. I have my
can't figure the NFL.
Well, I mean, I had my winning weeks. I had my losing week. There was a time about 2 or 3 weeks ago where, man, I thought I was really starting to see the ball in the NFL. And then, the end of the year came and that mess happened. I don't know. NFL's tough, but I'm still going to keep trying to study it, keep trying to figure it out. And I tell you what I have done good with this year, Charlie, and it's the first time really I've ever bet them, and I'm telling you, I'm really good at them. Over-unders. That's my game. I probably shouldn't even bet ball games. And I think a lot of it goes back to, I'll look at the play-by-plays, and I study drives and how hard were the drives, how easy were the drives, and maybe that helps me know the flow of the game. I don't know, but, dude, I think the over and unders are sometimes easier than ball games.
Yeah, we've talked about it the last couple of weeks. Neither one of us have really bet them. I've bet a handful of them here the last few weeks. I feel like I've done all right with them. Yeah, maybe that's something we got to look into a little bit more.
No, it is. I mean, I thought the under in the Ohio State-Texas game, I thought that was a really good bet. It ended up coming that was the only over-under I liked. I had a couple over-under winners in the playoffs, but in that last set of games there, I liked the under, and, it was a good bet. But it is what it is. It seems easy when you're winning. You know how that is.
All right, so speaking of the NFL, let's run down these games real quick from last week. Started off on Saturday, and the Texans, they dog-walked the Chargers pretty much.
They did. The Chargers had them down
32-12. Yeah, I mean, it was 6-0.
Yeah.
It was 6-0 after the first quarter, and next thing you know, the Texans take over the game.
It was 6-0 all the way up to 58 seconds to go in the second quarter. Yeah. It was almost halftime, and then they scored that touchdown. Then they got a field goal right before halftime, too, in a minute.
Yes, they did.
That was the beginning of the end for the Chargers right there. The Chargers was in control much of the first half.
Disappointing end to the season. Herbert, 4 picks, man.
Yeah, he don't have much help, dude. No, I'm not going to judge him. I
actually think Harbaugh came out and kind of said that.
Good for him.
I think he came out and pretty much said that, we let Herbert down. I forgot exactly how he said it. I have to look it up. But he pretty much said that we got Herbert's back and we let him down. I'm pretty sure it was probably because of what we've been talking about. They don't have any weapons. Besides Dobbins, I watched the game and I couldn't even tell you who the receivers are. They got that McConkey kid. I think he's a rookie or younger, but they just don't have the guys that Herbert needs. 4 picks.
Well, I think what happens, and I'm not taking up for him, but when you get down, you try to make the right calls, try to make the right plays, throw it away, punt the ball. But when you're down so much, it's playoffs. At some point, you got to start taking chances. And sometimes those interceptions can look bad when they're actually plays you don't even want to throw or make. But there comes a time in the game where you got to start pressing, right? And I'm not saying that's the case. I'm just saying, sometimes it makes you look bad. It might not be a throw you want to make either, but if you're down by 2 or 3 scores with 7-8 minutes to go, you got to start doing something. You got to start pressing the issue. So there is a play I wanted to ask you about. The score was 6-0 with 2 minutes to go in the first half. It was 3rd and 16. Houston was on their own 17-yard line. So they were going to have to punt the ball. C.J. Stroud fumbles the ball, it says, -4 yards, recovers it, and then he throws deep to Hutchinson for 34 yards. And so that gets them into Chargers territory. They end up scoring a touchdown there and then getting a field goal. But did you see a 3rd and 16 play where he fumbled it, then -4 yards? So it says 3rd and 16, Houston 17, 2 minutes to go. C.J. Stroud, -4 yards, fumbles and recovers. C.J. Stroud deep right to Hutchinson to the Chargers, pretty much midfield for 34 yards.
Yeah,
that was a huge play.
I was out that.
That was a huge play because they ended up scoring 10 points right there.
Now that I'm thinking about it, 2 of his interceptions went right through the receiver's hands. We had just got out to the bar, and it was loud, and I couldn't really hear. But I want to say 2 of those interceptions went right through somebody's hands. But he did have 4. Just a rough ending to the season for the Chargers.
They don't have no weapons. It happens, though. The defense is really kind of what's doing it for Houston right now. Defense is playing out of its mind.
Yep, Stroud played pretty good. Mixon had 100 and a little over 100 yards and a touchdown. They got it done when they needed to.
They did.
Gets the win. Now they will go to Kansas City. Have fun with that. Second game, Saturday night, was the Ravens game. Like I said, I was with about 1,000 Ravens fans. Wanted to cheer for the Steelers. They didn't really give me much to cheer for. I was telling Texas somebody, I said, I'm out here watching this game. I want to cheer on the Steelers, but I'm probably keep my mouth shut so I don't get my ass whooped. Because it was nothing but Ravens fans. We were out in Annapolis. I ended up drinking, getting drunk, getting hammered, and didn't watch much of the game because they fell behind and they never really got back. What was it? It was 21-0 at halftime.
It was the Derrick Henry show. They controlled the game. Yeah. I mean, he had almost 200 yards, 2 touchdowns. Lamar, he threw for 175.
Yeah, he had what do you have, 180-something rushing yards or something?
Yeah, Derrick Henry. Listen, I'm not a Baltimore guy. I don't like Baltimore. I don't want them to win. It ain't nothing against Baltimore guys for people listening there. I don't like Lamar. It's a Louisville, Kentucky thing. It's not a Baltimore thing. I like a pocket passing quarterback, but I heard it when I was listening to watching the Rams game. Was it Romo or Aikman? I don't know who it was. They said Stafford made a throw on a blitz, and it was just kind of threw it off his back foot. He picked up the blitz, and it was all out blitz, and he got it off and made an awesome completion. And they made a comment, nobody really in today's game can make that throw no more. And they just said with the way the game is played today. And that goes off, I've talked about it here many times. In today's league, you almost need a running quarterback. It's sad. I hate it. It makes me sick. But the way they protect in years past, to me, you get your head knocked off. They're scared to hit the quarterback. Offensive holding's almost become a thing of the past. They let these guys hold more than ever. You almost need a running quarterback. And with Derrick Henry coming in, they're a problem. To stop Derrick Henry, you're going to have to bring 7 or 8 up in the box. When you do that, you play right into what Lamar wants. As long as their defense don't let them down, or if somebody can make Lamar make quick decisions, that's what Pittsburgh did when they were having success against them. They made Lamar make quick decisions. That's not his game. His game is running around to somebody, buy enough time to somebody gets open. He needs them to be open, just like Jalen Hurts, just like several of them in the NFL, in my opinion. I used to think you couldn't win with that, but today's NFL, they're scared to hit quarterbacks. In saying that, Baltimore is going to be a problem. They're going to be a problem.
The one thing I noticed about this game the next day when I looked at the stats was Pittsburgh had 11 rushes in the game.
11 rushes.
They ran the ball 11 times. 3 of them was Russell Wilson, so they had 8 carries by their running backs.
Baltimore does have the best rush, or one of the best rush defenses in the NFL, and they have one of the worst pass defenses in the NFL.
Regardless, when's the last time Pittsburgh played a game and only had 8 rushes with their running backs? Now, I know they're down 21-0 at halftime, but you want to talk about sticking to a game plan. In the NFL, they do that, okay?
Yeah.
They stick to game plans. How in the hell did Pittsburgh only rush the ball 8 times?
Yeah, I'm with you.
8 times it was 11, but Russell Wilson had 3. 8 times by their running backs for 23 yards. You ain't winning like that.
No. I think the first 2 drives, I'm looking at it, they came out and they had their mind made up. They were going to try to attack Baltimore's Achilles heel, which is their pass defense. You know, it just didn't work out for them.
That stood out more than anything when I looked at the box score. I can't remember any other Pittsburgh game where they had that little amount of rushes. That's mind-boggling to me. Russell Wilson actually played decent, 20 for 29, 270, and 2 touchdowns. But when you run the ball for 23 yards by your running backs, you're not going to beat Baltimore or anybody else, especially on
Pittsburgh.
the road in the playoffs.
Yeah, especially Pittsburgh.
That's what I'm saying, Pittsburgh. Yeah, that to me, that was just a weird stat.
And Najee Harris is good.
Yeah,
good.
I get it. You fall down early, but
It's
8 rushes that's unacceptable.
I've been hearing, is Tomlin on the hot seat, Charlie? I like Tomlin, but I know you really like him, but is he on the hot seat?
I like him, but I do think Pittsburgh fans kind of like the whole Cal at Kentucky thing. I think within the fan base, Pittsburgh. I got one of my best friends is a Pittsburgh fan. He's not a fan of Mike Tomlin.
Yeah.
Hasn't been. And that's starting to look, I'm not inside the Steelers fan base, so it's hard to judge from the outside. But I've seen the same thing that you're seeing. I think they're getting disgruntled. Yeah. I do. And is his seat hot? To answer that, I think it is. At least by their fans, it is.
Well, he's a leader of men. He needs good coordinators there because he's a leader of men. He's not some guru himself. He's not. He's not a McVay. He's not, Andy Reid. He's a leader of men.
The thing about the Steelers, they're one of about 4 or 5, maybe not even that many. They're one of probably 3 organizations in the NFL that are ran at an elite level from the top. Their owner's not quick to just pull the plug on anybody.
I like it. I like it.
They've only had 3 coaches in their history.
Oh, I like
that. You
think
they just gonna pull the plug on Tomlin if they don't have something? They ain't gonna bring in Dion. I promise you that.
I hate owners or ADs at colleges that just make those quick. Sometimes I guess it works, but man, if he was good enough to hire, I'm not saying give him forever, but some people are so quick. I actually think Jerry Jones does a decent job of not pulling the trigger too quick. He just pulled the trigger, but
yep, he did. I want to say it's been about 6 or 7 years though since Pittsburgh won a playoff game. So, the winning seasons are cool and all, and
they're ready to win it. More than a win. Yeah, I get it.
They are. Is his seat hot? I don't know if it is from an owner standpoint, but from a fan standpoint, I think it absolutely is hot.
Yeah.
I still like Tomlin.
I do too.
Fire him and bring him to the Dolphins right now. I'll take him right now.
He just got to get some good coordinators around him and get the right pieces.
All right, so on Sunday, the Bills put a whooping on the Broncos, dominated that game, 31-7. Broncos, they actually took an early lead, 7-0, and then after that it was over. Packers, Eagles get it done at home, 22-10.
I didn't think it was pretty.
No, it wasn't. But
Packers had 4 turnovers, killed them in that opening play of the game. They fumbled it, and 2 plays later, touchdown. They killed them.
The opening play was. You said was you watching on your phone or something? You didn't see that, dude. He stuck the shit out.
The game just came on. I was still getting my food out of the kitchen.
Man, that was a hell of a hit. That dude came ready to play. I'll tell you that because he stuck him.
And then 2 plays later, they give Jalen Hurts 15 seconds in the pocket. He finally finds somebody in the back of the end zone. The other touchdown they got, their tight end did all the work. He stiff-armed a guy. That was pretty impressive. Did you see that touchdown by the tight end where he stiff-armed a guy all the way down the DB from Green Bay?
Gave him the triple mush.
Green Bay really outplayed them.
3 stiff arms on 1 play. That was unreal. I thought that was hilarious.
I thought Jalen Hurts looked not so good. Did you hear the story with A.J. Brown over there reading the book? I guess he's not happy again.
No, it was a motivation. No, he's fine.
He wouldn't be reading that book if he Dude, that was some weird stuff.
If
playoff game,
if he's not,
I'm with it.
You didn't see what the book was?
Inspirational stuff,
Yeah,
but it's still a playoff game, though. He must have been like in his mind, like, just go to my happy place. Just go to my happy place. I've heard people talk about this.
And right now they're the 2 seed. They won the game. You're moving on. You win 2 more. You're in the Super Bowl. If you're unhappy, that's fine. Keep your mouth shut until the season's over.
That's right.
But if you're sitting here causing problems, and the Eagles can win the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Shut up.
So I'm with you on that. And that's totally opposite of what Saquon Barkley is. Because we all seen the last play where he could have scored a touchdown. He broke it and he slid.
Yep.
I'm going to tell you this. I'm a Saquon.
Not only did he slide, he could have at least went and got him 50 more yards.
He would have got a touchdown. He would have got a touchdown.
I know, but I'm saying he could have ran 50 yards, at least got himself 50 more yards, and then went down.
I love it.
Yeah,
I love it.
Yeah,
I love it. I love it.
Even though you know how I feel about that. They were up 12. He could have scored, made him up 18 or 19 with 30 seconds.
The game was over. The game was over.
But the game was over.
Okay, but like he said, he made a good point. A, it's classy, but B, what about if somebody gets hurt on that next play?
No, I get that.
He's about winning, dude.
It's a smart play.
Dude, and not only that, it's a class.
There wouldn't have been nothing wrong with him running for that
No,
touchdown.
I wouldn't. No, but I'll tell you what. But he won a lot of respect from me because I love to show my son that. I don't get many of those moments, Charlie, with my son. We're always trying to show her, the social media, the pro athletes, they got our kids' ear more than we do because of who they are, what kind of influence they have. Well, so I try to use that and try to say, okay, well, check this guy out, or, don't be like him. Well, now I can say I used to have Giannis because Giannis has always been a stand-up guy. Acted a little bit different than everybody else in the NBA, probably because he didn't grow up in America. But now I got Saquon showing him, hey, it's not about your numbers. It's not about your stats. I just feel like that's the way I grew up. To me, that was cool. Call it old school, call it whatever you want. That's just the way I was taught the game. Be humble, have class. Yeah, the numbers are great, but having class is great too. I know how Saquon feels. Not to throw you off, go off subject. I shoveled 11 driveways. We had a big snow come through here, like 11, 12 inches. I shoveled 11 driveways. I got paid on one of them. I didn't do it for the money. It made me feel good about myself. And it did. People would say, oh, why are you doing it? And I said, I'm just being nice. But honestly, Charlie, it made me feel good about myself. And I bet you for Saquon, I bet you that made him feel good about himself. That he did that. When he feels like I'm humble, I'm about the team. It's not about whether he gets the yards or not. It's about, that's a message to his team that I'm about you guys. I'm about us winning more than I am mine. And you got A.J. Brown over here, like you said, and he's over reading his book probably because he's upset a little bit because he ain't getting his. It was like Diggs in Buffalo. Give me guys like Saquon. I love guys like Saquon. I can use him and show my son this is what a man does. So, yeah, shout out to Saquon.
AJ Brown's good, but if he's complaining right here during this run, you can have him. If I was the Eagles, I'd send his ass packing. I don't care how good you are. If you're throwing a fit when your team's 14-3, the 2 seed, and you just won your first home playoff game, and you're about to play another home playoff game to go to the NFC Championship game, and you're fucking complaining, go play for the Jaguars and see how happy you are.
But Charlie, you laugh.
You're 14-3.
But you lie and you say that, okay? And I agree with you 100%. But I think there's some guys that would rather be on teams where they get theirs and their team loses than they just be okay
and their teams win. They'll play on shitty teams and they'll be known as, I'll go ahead and say it, James Harden, Russell Westbrook.
Sure.
I've been saying it ever since they were in their prime.
Yeah.
You can have both of them.
Yeah.
Because they're great players, but they'll never win you a championship. And that's what somebody like that will be known for.
I always said that about Carmelo.
There's some players like that. And if you want to be that, go for it. But when it comes to history in football, you'll be known for that.
And not just that, your teammates know that. They know. You're in the locker room, they know who you are. I want to be respected by my peers. I want whatever. I don't care about what people think. But, yeah, it's nice when people that I respect and, I love, I care about, if they respect me and think well of me because I've earned that respect. To me, that's important. Yeah, it is.
And guess what those locker rooms are full of the good teams, the Eagles, the
Chiefs.
The Chiefs. Guess what? Their locker rooms ain't going to put up with a lot of that shit.
No.
So you can get ran off of a really good team by being like that.
No.
And like I said, then you end up playing for the Bears or the Jaguars and hating your life.
Yeah, I forget who it was. Somebody went to New England, and they told him he was a receiver, and they said, you're going to have to change. And he said there just wasn't enough balls to go around. He says they fed the winners, and who was that?
Might have been your boy Chad Johnson.
It was. That's exactly it. He was honest about it. No, I give the guy credit. He was honest about it. He says there just wasn't enough touches. He says they were about winning. And he pretty much was calling his own self out. This was him recently in retirement.
All right, last game of Sunday night was the best game of the whole weekend. Best wild card game we had. The Commanders, the Redskins, the Washington football team, whatever you want to call them, they get it done. Again, they've got an angel sitting on their shoulder, Anthony. I'm telling you, there's something up with this team.
The Washington Leprechauns.
They have got something going on this year, but I think their luck's going to run out. I thought it was going to run out last week, but they figured it out, man.
They banked one in.
They figured it out. It was a good game. It
was.
Went either way. I'm not going to say the Bucs should have won.
It was a good game.
You know, I think they easily could have won, but I'm not going to sit here and say they should have. Washington's had a good year, and the great thing about this Washington team is they are already battle-tested in the fourth quarter.
And I know
they know how to get it done in these tight games.
And Jaden Daniels is playing good, but I know they're a balanced team because Mariota's come in like 2 or 3 times this year and put up pretty damn good numbers. So that to me, that's a good sign, though. That means you got a really balanced team. And so Washington is a nice little team.
First playoff win in 7,000 days, it says.
What's his name? Mark Ripken?
Rippin.
They were good that year.
That was the early 90s.
Son, they was unbeatable that year. I remember it. The flea flicker, they always ran the flea flicker. Remember the flea flicker?
Jaden Daniels, 24 for 35, 268, 2 touchdowns, no picks.
Mariota, 16 of 18, 200-something yards, 2 touchdowns in the game he played. There was 2 or 3 games he had numbers like that. Does Mariota get a contract now?
No.
He's looked really good when he's come in the game this year. Well, he's put up good numbers.
Jaden Daniels is the rookie of the year.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Playing really good. I think their luck's going to run out at some point, but who knows? If you don't, go bet them to win the Super Bowl because you get great odds on them right now.
We were looking at that earlier.
And then Monday night, the Rams.
Boom, shakalaka.
Put a butt whooping on the worst, most overrated 14-win team in the history of the NFL. Go back. I'm going to find it because I'm going to make me a little TikTok, give myself a little credit. About 4 weeks ago, I said Vikings will lose in the first round. Do you remember that?
They had to play the
Vikings
Rams.
will lose in the first round. I was wrong about the Vikings a lot this year, a whole lot. But there was one thing I wasn't wrong about. I couldn't get on the right side of them, but I called them a fraud almost. There was maybe 1 or 2 times.
They were a solid team. They were a solid
maybe,
team.
I thought maybe I'm wrong about them.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm wrong.
Yeah.
They're frauds. They're frauds. They proved to be frauds. 9 points. 9 points.
Dude, the Rams defense is playing good. I'm telling y'all, I know you've been on them some too. I know you bet the Rams in that game too, just like I did. Rams are the forgotten team. This happened, same thing last year, and they lost to Detroit on a pass interference call at the end of the season. They had their injuries earlier in the year, the same players. This year they had offensive linemen to go with it. If you take out those games, the Rams might only have 3 losses. The Rams are good. Their defense early on was really young. Their defense is playing lights out, has been playing lights out. Go look.
They are, and I'm on them too, but their strength of schedule was not good.
Yeah, but they have some really – and I agree with that. It didn't, but they beat the Bills.
Actually, I don't know what the strength of schedule is. Just
But
looking at it.
yeah, I agree with that.
Looking at it, I don't think it's very good.
But they beat the Bills. Hard to beat the Bills. And
they had
out
2 good wins.
the Bills and
Minnesota earlier
and
in the year.
I'm going to tell you what, to me, better than any of their wins is the opening game of the year. After what happened, they played Detroit at Detroit. This is a fully healthy Detroit team. You know, Detroit's went through all them injuries. When they were fully healthy, Detroit looked almost unbeatable. A fully healthy Detroit team. And they lost and they outgained Detroit, I think, by 30 or 40 yards. I watched that game. I thought they slightly outplayed them. Both teams were fully healthy. That was at Detroit and they beat the Bills, and they beat Minnesota, and they got Sean McVay, Matthew Stafford, Puka Cup. Their defense is coming alive. Why can't they? The Rams are the forgotten team. Do it for LA. A lot of things going on with the wildfires. The Rams are going to do it for LA.
I'm all for it. I got future bets on them too. Not as much as you do, but I got a nice little chunk of change if they end up winning the Super Bowl. And honestly, I think at 20-1, isn't that what I said they were?
20-1. Yeah.
I might drop a couple more dollars on them at 20-1.
I got a couple bets in when they were 65-1.
If they beat Philly, it's going to drop big time, and then I still don't think anybody is really serious about them. But if they beat Philly, everybody would jump on board.
I'll say this: if they beat Philly, I might see if I can find a way to hedge a game out from the Super Bowl. I would definitely hedge the Super Bowl.
You could.
But I have enough to win that.
You could easily do that.
Yeah, I would just have to do the math. But I'm all about just getting a nice little winner, guys. So I might try to find a hedge two games out because they're going to be still underdogs. I would have to go the other way, so I'd be giving up minus something. But if they win,
the underdogs unless Washington wins.
You say
Washington wins and the Rams win. Rams get a home game against the Redskins. They would be favored in that.
Let me ask you this: say the Rams beat Philly in Philly, that'd be a nice win. Plus the Minnesota win, plus the Buffalo win at the end of the season. With going to Detroit, what do you think the point spread would be? I'm going to say Detroit by 4 or 5, but I think there'd be a lot of talk about the Rams. Maybe it might be more than 5. I don't know. But I would say 5, somewhere in there.
Probably similar to what it is right here. What are they?
But do you think people?
They're +6.
Do you think
Philly? I think it'd be similar to that.
Do you think if they get that win, because they've been hot as hell. If they go into Philly and win that, do you think perception might change on them?
Yeah, I absolutely think perception would change. But at Detroit after that, yeah, maybe. I mean, maybe it would be 4.5.
I don't know. I really don't know. Depends how good Detroit looks this week, I guess. So
it wouldn't be more than the 6 that they're getting here at.
Because
it wouldn't be more than that
because they don't have that win yet. So yeah,
if I had to guess, it would be
4 or 5.
Yeah, 4 or 5 probably.
Yeah,
but man, I'm gonna tell you what: if they can get past this one,
they're beating Philly. I'm just gonna let you know.
If they beat Philly,
I just got to.
They're gonna beat Detroit. I'm just gonna say it right now: if they beat Philly, Rams are going to Super Bowl.
Phillies are good. Philly's good. I know they're good, guys. I don't sit here and talk to you on this podcast.
He hates Philly and he hates Jalen Hurts.
I don't hate Philly. I love everything about Philly. I don't like Jalen Hurts. I've told y'all I'm a Lamar hater. I tell you about how I feel about the quarterback position in the NFL, but I know Lamar is really good. I know he's really good. I know he's a threat. I wouldn't want to face him as a defensive coordinator in today's NFL's rules. In the old rules, he'd get hit every damn time. He wouldn't be able to do that bullshit. But in today's rules, you can't touch him. Lamar's a threat, a big-time threat, a problem, especially trying to defend him, Derrick Henry, with a good offensive line. They had 9 Pro Bowlers. Baltimore has more than anybody, so they're loaded. In saying that, Jalen Hurts, average at best. I watch him. I just don't see it. I mean, maybe I'm blind. I don't know. Maybe if he has a good rest of the playoff and he looks good, I'll say it. I was wrong, but I just don't see it when I watch him.
All right, let's get into these games.
Right, let's do it. 2
on Saturday, 2 on Sunday before the national championship on Monday. So it should be a fun 3 days. Saturday at 4:30, first game. Texans at the Chiefs. The Chiefs are -9.5.
God, they went up, didn't they? Damn.
Unless that's changed, actually, I'm seeing 8.5 on ESPN right here. So let's double check one more time
I thought they were like 7 or 8.
Let you check it real quick. I don't need to take a lot of time on this. I like the Chiefs. They're coming off of a bye. Andy Reid got his guys rested.
3 weeks, isn't it?
Yeah, but they're used to this. The Chiefs, this is not their first rodeo with sitting guys and having to wait 2 and 3 weeks. They've done it before, and they've been successful doing it. So I don't doubt Andy Reid here. I've done no research on any of these games. I'm just going straight from my gut here. I'm pretty sure Andy Reid's record coming off of a bye while he's a head coach is really, really good. He's one of those coaches that's scary off of a bye. He's off 2 byes. I like the Chiefs big time here. I know they
just played this game not too long ago.
They have had trouble covering this year. I know it, but this is when Kansas City comes to play. This is when the real season starts now for the Chiefs.
I do think their offense was starting to look better. I hated that they rest that many weeks.
I like the Chiefs a lot. I got the
Yeah.
Chiefs big time in this one.
You know, the
8.5, 9, whatever it is.
8.5,
What'd you say?
8.5,
8.5.
The
I
Chiefs
like it.
scored 29 on the Steelers, scored 27 on the Texans. Tank Dell did get hurt in that game, but he played most of that game, I think. Their offense was really starting to come to life. I'm going to take Chiefs minus 8.5 too. I think missing Tank Dell is an issue. The reason they were able to have success against the Chargers, the plays we talked about, but also, being able to get pressure on them, I think they'll protect Mahomes.
They're not getting 4 turnovers from
No,
Mahomes.
and Mahomes is going to scramble, and I think that's what Houston's playing right now. They're able to get pressure on the quarterback. Mahomes probably handles pressure better than anybody. So
that defense is going to be
they'll have trouble scoring against that defense.
Defense is going to be rested. This game's going to get ugly.
Yeah. I mean, the only thing that scares me is I did watch that Houston Texans game 3 weeks before I didn't think the Chiefs were a lot better than them, but at the same time, Tank Dell was there, not having him. They're kind of running out of weapons. So I will take the Chiefs.
Going to be cold. I don't know if the Texans are going to be used to that. In Kansas City, it's going to be in the 20s. I think it gets ugly. So we're both on Kansas City there. All right, Saturday night, Washington at the Lions. Lions are also giving up, looks like 10 points. This is another one where I'm not going to think too much on this. I'm going to take the Lions coming off the bye. I think they're the better team. I told you I do think there's an angel or something sitting on Redskins' shoulder because the way that they've been winning this year is pretty amazing. Started with the Hail Mary against Chicago, and it's just continued the whole second half of the season. The luck's got to run out. I don't think the Commanders' defense is very good, and I think the Lions probably just score at will in this game.
I agree. I think they'll be super locked in.
I think it gets ugly. If it's 10, I love it.
Give me the favorite. Yeah, I'll take Detroit. They've been in a lot of good games deservingly, but I think Detroit's offense is really good. I could see Washington scoring.
I'm not going to lie here. I kind of like the over, but looking at it, it's 55.5. That's a lot of damn points. But I do think they're going to score. But look, the Lions got their defense probably rested up a little bit.
Yep.
And they're going to be playing in front of their fans who are so hungry for some playoff wins. The Commanders do worry me a little bit because I really like Jaden Daniels. I think he's playing awesome. And I think they're a well-rounded team. Their defense worries me a little bit. That's pretty much the kicker here. I don't know if they're going to – because you're right. The Commanders, they're going to score some points.
I feel like the Commanders convert a lot of third and fourth downs, which is a good sign for a team. But
they
I
go
do
for it on fourth every time.
And I just
Dan Quinn goes – this game right here, they might go for it on fourth down every time, both teams. Because if there's any coach that goes for it more than Dan Campbell does, it's Dan Quinn. So I'm going to go with the Lions though, but I will say I'll probably dabble in this game, but it won't be a lot because I do think if there's an upset brewing this weekend, well, I say that because I like them Rams too, but the Commanders do kind of worry me, man. They've got something, God's on their side or something. I don't know what is going on, but something's got to run out. But we're both going to take the favorite again. All right, Sunday, 3 o'clock, Rams at Eagles.
Rams.
Eagles are -6.
Rams.
We both want to take the Rams. I mean,
both my ass. I'm taking them.
Well, I know, and I'm just saying we both. Meaning, I want to take them too.
Okay.
I've got futures on them too.
I wasn't that impressed with Philly last week. Now that might be.
I'll promise you this: no matter what I really think in my heart of hearts, I will not be betting the Eagles because I'll be cheering for the.
Yeah,
this would be one of them games where I don't bet the other side because I don't want to.
Yeah, I get it.
I don't want to cheer on against the team.
I like Puka. I like Stafford. I like McVay. I like that young defense. Do it for LA, baby.
I've gotten so much better with that over the last few years. I used to do that all the time.
What's that?
Like the Bills. I hate the Bills, so I would never bet on the Bills. You know what I'm saying? Because I just didn't want to cheer for them. I've got so much better with that I don't really do that anymore, except with the Dolphins. And it's not that I just stay away from it altogether. But I kind of feel like it on this one. I'm going to say, give me the Rams plus the 6. Give me the Rams. I think it's going to be tough for the Rams to win this game.
6 is a lot, though. I mean, it's a decent amount of points.
I like the +6. I'd probably give me the 7. I'd give me the 7.
I get it.
Maybe pair it with one of these other games and bump it up to 7. I think it's going to be tough for the Rams to win the game, but I'm going to be cheering on them. I might go get me a Rams shirt, Anthony.
Yeah, I will.
I'm serious. I got to
I'm going to get me a Matthew Stafford jersey.
If anything, I'll be betting the Rams plus the points. For the show, I'm taking the Rams plus the points, but I'm scared. I'm not going to lie.
Puka's a football player, son. Put him on the field. Puka, go get it. I love Puka, man. I don't know why he's good. He really ain't super tall. He ain't super fast. He's just a football player, dude. Guy's a football player. He knows how to get open. Got great hands. That's the kind of guy when you go out there and you pick your football team, you go after a Hawaiian guy.
He looks for contact.
He does, dude. He
does not try to avoid contact. There's not many receivers.
That's what makes him good. He's hard to tackle. He's hard to tackle.
Look for contact.
Yeah.
That man looks for contact. I think one of the announcers during the game said he was like a fullback. He is once contact comes because he.
That's what makes him good because he's not crazy tall. He ain't crazy fast. I mean, he's decent at all that. But what makes him good, he's hard to tackle. Not many receivers are hard to tackle.
Well, I will say right here, and I know we looked at this before the game. We looked at the weather in Philly because I think that is a concern in a game like this.
Like 35 degrees.
35 degrees. This is 38 high of 38, but there is a chance of like some mix of snow, rain, sleet type of deal. If it can stay in the 30s and no precipitation, I think the Rams are good. But, man, if it gets a little bit cold, that snow starts falling, gets
I don't
wet.
like it. I don't like that for the Rams.
Yeah, I don't like
Jalen Hurts being a running quarterback, and I do think the Rams got a nice little offensive line, but so does Philly.
Let's keep an eye on the weather the next few days and hope the weather stays pretty decent in Philly on Sunday.
I think that would hurt the Rams' passing game, and I think that's where they got an advantage over Philly.
All right, last game, probably the best game. Ravens at the Bills. Bills, I'm actually showing the Ravens as a 1-point favorite.
Yep. Bills open up as 1. Ravens are now 1.
Look, it's time for Josh Allen to really step it up. He stepped it up this whole year with mainly the way he has protected the ball. That has changed my perception of Josh. I already thought he was good. I wasn't, I'm not a Bills fan by any means, but I knew he was good. But the way he's been turning the ball over those first 3 or 4 years he came into the league was a concern, and I think it cost them in some big games throughout those years. This is the year that he has completely flipped that on its head. He's not turning the ball over, and he's still playing awesome. And I think he continues that in this game. I know the Ravens' defense is awesome. They're playing great right now. The Ravens do scare me. I just think at home in Buffalo, probably one of the best home field advantages in the league. I like the Bills, and I like Josh Allen to continue to protect that ball. And look, these two been battling for the MVP these last few weeks, right?
Yeah.
Last 4 or 5 weeks, it's been
from everything
I've been these two.
From everything I heard, it's
let's play it out. Let's see what we got.
Well, the votes are already in.
I know, but I'm just saying we're about to see it on the field.
Yeah, but I don't think that's fair to Josh Allen because I do think Josh Allen's MVP. I do think Lamar should probably be Offensive Player of the Year. There's a difference to me when I say that MVP is most valuable player.
My point is nothing matters except this game right here.
That's no doubt. There's no doubt about that.
So the MVP on nothing. Let's see who plays better in the game when it matters.
Sure. For me, when Diggs left Buffalo last year, I told everybody they would listen to me. Addition by subtraction. Nothing against Diggs. I know he's a good player. Hope he does well in Houston. I just thought you had to get him off the team. Josh Allen's your franchise player. Ever since Joe Brady came in about halfway through the year last year, he turned that team around. They were struggling before he got there, the offensive coordinator. There was the one that orchestrated the LSU with Burrow and Chase and them guys. And Brady's done good. He's really an up-and-coming coach. He's offensive coordinator with the Buffalo. If I was Dallas, that's who I would go get. But in saying that, to me, the Buffalo don't have a lot of stars. They got Josh Allen. And to me, that's why he's the MVP. Because they don't have a lot of stars. Nothing against Jalen Hurts, nothing against Lamar, but getting Derrick Henry, getting Saquon, that's awesome. I mean, having to defend Derrick Henry and Lamar, that's a problem. I'll be flat out honest with you. I'm not crazy about the Bills this week. There's a piece of me that's scared that Baltimore might beat them because I do think defending Derrick Henry and Lamar and everything they got going on, that's tough. You bring 7 or 8 up in the box to stop Derrick Henry. If you don't, he's going to get 200 yards like he did against last time he played Buffalo, like he did last week. But then you bring those guys up, then how you deal with Lamar's wiggling around back there. But at the same time, I'm a Josh Allen guy. I'm a fan. I always have been a fan of Josh Allen. I think I've always said if you created the perfect quarterback, he looks like Josh Allen. He's tall, big arm, can run and throw. He's an accurate thrower and a really good runner. He's going to do a lot, though, because I think he's up against probably a better overall team. But I'm going to say I do think Josh Allen's better than Lamar. I'll say it. I think he's better than Lamar. Passing ability and the ability to read defenses is better. Now, do I think he's as good a reader as Joe Burrow? No. But I also think he's a lot better runner than Joe Burrow. Who's the best? Who knows? Depends what you like. If you like scrambling around, you probably like Lamar. Everybody likes something different. I'm probably more of a Joe Burrow guy or a Matthew Stafford guy. I like the smart quarterbacks, guys that know what's going on. Josh probably ain't quite as smart as Joe in that sense. But Josh has those legs and that power. But I do think he can read a defense a lot better than what Lamar can. You do see Josh Allen do 3 and 4 step drops and throw. So that's what I like. And so that's why I'm going with him. I think this game could go either way. I really do. I run my mouth about Lamar, but I know he's good. And I know Derrick Henry's good. I'm going to take the Bills. I'm going to just take the Bills. We'll leave it at that.
Yes, it's the best game of the day.
It is.
It's the best matchup. I mean,
it is.
How they play out, we don't know. But just looking at them, and I'm sure that's why they put it last game. It's the game of the week.
It is. The Baltimore got Buffalo pretty good last time they played. Derrick Henry ran for like 200 some yards. They barely even passed the ball. I'm sure at that point Buffalo didn't bring nobody up to stop Derrick Henry, and they got paid for it. How are they going to defend it this time? It's a little bit of a worry.
Baltimore's hard to handle.
They are.
Offensively, and their defense is playing as good as any defense in the league right now.
How do you defend that offense? I mean, because you got to stop Derrick Henry, number one, or they're just going to establish the run game, run all over you. So you got to bring the guys up in the box. You're going to have to bring in the bigger packages, the bigger linebackers and stuff. When you do that, that plays right into what Lamar wants.
You got to go.
You got to put pressure. You got to put pressure on Lamar, and you got to be aggressive. You got to keep him in the pocket.
Yeah, you almost got to kind of play the run, spy his ass,
make quick decisions,
and then just man to man on the outsides and make him beat you.
They say I've heard the experts talk, and I kind of agree with them. They say you need a really good, aggressive defensive line that can make you make quick decisions. Because I don't care what anybody says. He's not some guy that reads defenses. He's not. He runs around till they get open. That's what he does. And that's what a lot of guys do. That's what today's NFL is. So,
well, you better have a real athletic, really fast linebacker spying his ass, because I'd rather him throw from the pocket. I'd rather him let him sit there and throw from the pocket.
Oh, I don't think those big edge rushes, I don't think you do those. I think you keep everything in front of you. Almost play it like you would play the run.
All right, so you on Buffalo?
Yep.
All right, well, we agreed on every single game.
We're going to win all of them.
Every game. So let's do this. Look, we're getting down to it. We ain't got many of these left. So let's do a little something different that we haven't done. We agreed on all 5 games that we picked, 4 NFL and Ohio State. All right, so let's do the 5-gamer, okay? All 4 NFL and let's add Ohio State for the 5 team. We'll do a 4 team.
With our NFL
with
teams.
the NFL. I think we both really, really like Ohio State, right?
Yep.
We really like Ohio State. All right, so who's your top
Let's
pick
find
in the NFL?
Who mine? Top pick in the NFL?
I'd probably say mine would be Kansas City.
I'm going to go with the Lions.
All right, so we're going to do a 2-teamer, Kansas City and Detroit. That's our top 2. NFL, we're going to do a 3-teamer with those 2, Kansas City, Detroit, and we're throwing Ohio State in there.
Okay, I like it.
So we got a 2-teamer, a 3-teamer, 4-teamer, and a 5-teamer.
5-teamer, hell with it. Let's
smack all. We're going to smack all 4 of them.
That's about how I bet sometimes. Anyways,
let's smack all 4 of them.
You know what we should have done? We should have tied one team to all of them, because that's what we do a lot of times.
We do. Kansas City and Detroit's in all 4 of them.
All right.
Yeah, that's what I try not to do anymore.
You know how the guy tell me one time, I love it when I do that, because he said, man, when they win, I'm alive on everything. I said,
yeah,
when you lose, you're dead.
When you lose, you're kicking yourself in the eye. I've done it. That's like my number one flaw in gambling.
I do that sometimes too. We got to be careful. Me and Charlie, we look at our bets like after we made them, and like we sit there. We don't got this team in too many of them, do we? You don't want to be screwed and not have no action.
So yeah, we got Kansas City and Detroit in all four of them. But look, I feel pretty confident in both of those, even though Washington scares me a little bit. But look, we're gonna roll with it, and I think it's gonna be a big week. I think we're gonna smack all four of these. I know sometimes you get caught up in your bets and don't bet these blitz the bookie parlays.
I'm gonna bet them because I'm not. I don't think I'm gonna make many bets. Period.
I got a feeling. Anthony.
No, so I will bet the blitz the bookie parlay. And I will remember it because I don't think I'm going to make many of my own bets. I got my futures going, dude. I got a lot of money in my futures. You know, I bet a lot of future tickets. And I got the teams. The only team that I had 150 on the Bengals, they're out of it. And I had 25 on the Jaguars early in the year. I did put 25 on them. And then I had some money on Missouri and Kentucky. I had like 70 on Missouri, like 25 on Kentucky. I do those stupid bets sometimes. But everything else, dude, I was a live one going into the last four legs of college football playoff. And in the final eight, my three futures are on the Rams, the biggest, then the Chiefs, and then the Bills. So all three of my futures on the NFL are left as well. So I'm just probably going to ride my futures out, and I will bet the blitz the bookie parlay.
Go Rams and go Ohio State and actually Detroit. We need all three of those.
Yep.
But guys, thank you all again for listening. We appreciate you. We'll see you next week. We'll be back same time, same place, hopefully with 4 parlay winners.
No doubt.
Anthony, I get caught up in my betting sometimes too. First 5, 6, 7 weeks we did this, I bet the blitz the bookie parlay every time. Then I kind of forgot about it here, I'm betting all. I got a good feeling, guys. I got a good feeling. We're going to smack all 4 of these and make a bunch of money. If you don't like our picks, fade them. We'll see who wins.
That's right. Let's ride.
All right, guys. Catch y'all next week. Blitz the bookie.
See ya.